And also, Trump has described the ongoing U.S. operations in Iran as an excursion, and he's also said that these issues such as rising gas prices and the safety of Americans will improve once the conflict ends. How true do you hold this statement, and what are the Americans making of this statement at this point?
Well, Americans, I think, are quite rightly extremely confused and frightened by what they see going on with the American military being brought into action essentially at the request of a third country, the Israelis, to attack a country that presented no threat to the United States and Iran. So I worked in the Pentagon for many, many years and participated in a wide variety of different war games. And in war games in the Gulf involving Iran, the first thing that always happened was they closed the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, has serious second-order consequences around the world for world economies, as the Qatari energy minister reminded us. And the Trump administration appears not to have planned for this. In other words, again, it just fits with this sort of confused, scattered approach in which they apparently had no idea of the steps that Iran would likely take in the event of hostilities. And it's clear that Iran is fighting the war at the strategic level, and they're prepared to exert pressure across the international system, which they can do with the closure of the strait and the effect on world energy prices. And in the United States today, there's an affordability crisis, by which I mean a general sort of increase in the cost of living across the board, which of course President Trump denies, but it's true. And so this all adds up to, again, as the war continues, Iran has signaled that it's not giving up. We can only expect that these negative consequences are going to continue to multiply and are going to continue to induce increasingly desperate actions by both the United States and the Israelis.
And as you mentioned that Iran is prepared, and we have statements coming in that they're prepared to continue this war for at least 6 months. In actuality, do you think it is possible for Iran to continue with this with U.S.? Of course, they're saying that they're going to be unleashing more attacks, and Israel is not giving up either. Realistically, is Iran ready for a 6-month war that they claim to?
It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that because I don't know enough about the ammunition stocks that are present in Iran. But I think it's safe to say that this 6-month window that you're mentioning applies equally to the United States and to Israel, which is to say, do we have the political? When I say we, do I mean the United States? Does the United States have the political will and the ammunition supply to continue pounding the Iranians for the next 6 months? And the same holds true for the Israelis, because Israel depends upon the United States for all its ammunition and the spare parts for its airplanes and so on and so forth. So this gets to this sort of issue, which is that how long can these antagonists keep lobbing munitions at one another? And I would again point out that Iran's advantage in the asymmetric realm leaves it with a wide array of different steps that it can take that are not necessarily available to the United States and Israel to inflict pain and suffering on the Israelis and the United States. And I think that regrettably, I think that Trump mentioned this today. In fact, I think that he was going to be expanding the target set. That the American military was going to be striking, and I think that what we are basically looking at here is Gaza too. I think that the Americans and the Israelis are going to start going after public infrastructure. They're going to be hitting hospitals. They're going to be hitting water treatment plants, it descends into this sort of mayhem, where, of course, the toll on the civilians innocent civilians is going to skyrocket, just the way it has in Gaza. And this is the Israeli way of war, I should say.
Hmm.
And the Americans are being dragged along behind them in this. It's effectively the United States that's executing the Israeli sort of campaign plan here.